The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Missoula, Montana, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34588. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, on the 2 frame rails, you'll find an open-ended tow hook. Moving on to the face of the bumper, you'll find your electronic siren PA speaker. Moving just to the right side, which would be the driver's area, you'll find an air horn recessed in the bumper. Moving up onto the top of the bumper extension, you'll find 2 tubbed storage locations, one on the passenger and one on the driver's side. Dry deck material, Velcro straps. Move to the very center, you'll find your front bumper turret. As we move to the front cab, you'll find 2 emergency warning lights. Moving to the outer edge, you'll find the headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights, and then also a turn indicator. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the items that we just talked about. Let's first start with the front bumper extension. You can see the 2 open-ended tow hooks underneath, siren and air horn. Moving up on top, you can see the passenger and driver side bumper extension tubbed storage location, dry deck material, and Velcro ties. Moving now to the bumper turret, you can see the bumper turret mounted directly in the center. And as we move to the grille, you'll find emergency warning lights, and then your headlight structure on the outer edge, high and low beams, and a turn indicator marker light. Let's take a look at the side of the bumper extension, where you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Let's move up to the full cab now, identify a few items within this area. First, just on top of the fender in the front, you'll find a marker turn indicator. Just above that on the hood, you'll find your air intake. And as we move to the very front section, you'll find the tilt location where you can grab to tilt the front hood. As we move up to the top above the windshield, the brow, you'll find your 5 clearance lights. And then moving all the way up to the very top of the roof, that's where you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Let's go ahead and take a look at the close-ups here of these items. First, turn indicator and air intake. As we move from this location, we'll start with the mirror. At the very top section, you have a flat portion and also a marker light. Just down at the lower section is where you'll find your convex mirror. Let's go ahead and move from this location down to the front axle. We'll talk a little bit about the tires. You have Goodyear tires, the 282 MSD in the front. As we turn around, look at the very rear section. This is the release mechanism, passenger and driver side, to release the hood. We're now onto the driver's side. In the step area, you'll find your clearance lights. Just up from that location, we're going to find our battery terminals. You can see they're colored red for positive, black for negative. As we move up, you'll also find your shoreline inlet. And at the very top, just under the cab, you'll find your air inlet, underbody cab lights and step lights, in addition with the black ABS tank. Your blue cap is your DEF fill location. Here's some close-ups now of the perimeter lighting and step area. In addition, as we move upward, this is the shore power inlet. These are your battery terminals. Moving up to the lower section of the cab is where you'll find the air inlet. And then as we move to the very rear section, you'll find your DEF tank. And moving further to the rear, you'll find your fuel tank, which is the silver cap ultra low sulfur diesel. Let's take a look inside the cab area. First, starting at the rear, we have attached to the door panel all of our safety and warning information. You'll also find in the rear seats there are 2 air ride seats adjustments on the left and right side door side mechanism for controlling the air ride. Also in the very front, we have adjust front to back and also lumbar support. As we look to the center console rear, you'll find 12-volt access via barrel style and USB. As we move to the front doors, you'll find all of our safety and warning information placards. And as we move to the floorboard, you'll find the red quarter turn battery switch This is your master battery switch. In addition, with this yellow placard, which we'll go over next, as you can see as we move upward into the seat area, these are your comfort controls for air ride. Let's go back down to the battery switch, which is the red quarter turn, and then we'll now look at the yellow placard, which is the manufactured by Pierce for your department. Significant amount of information here. It has the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, all of the fluid capacities for each of the type, and also the amounts of fluid. Let's go ahead and move from this location now to the front section in the dash area. Left knee of the operator, we'll find our vehicle data recorder port. As we move up, we'll find our headlights. Just inside of that location, we're going to find the bright or dim for the panel lights, and then also the mirror heat. On the column itself, you do have a tilt column, and then also your turn indicator at the very top section. Let's take a look from inside the cab. As you look to the door on your left-hand side of the operator, you'll find two items here I'd like to point out. First, this is your mirror control for left and right mirror. The other one is going to be this black placard indicating the height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating of your vehicle. If you make any changes to your vehicle that may affect any of these, please update this placard. Let's move to the right where you have a keyed ignition on the lower right side. Moving up from that location slightly to the right, we're going to find 12-volt access via barrel style, cigarette lighter, and also USB. As we move to the center, you'll find the yellow diamond. This is the pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. There's also a AM/FM radio located in the center. As we move upward, we'll find our four-way flashers or hazard lights. And then also we have climate control located across the knobs in the center. And then all of our functions located with the switch panel in the upper section. All the way to the very far right, you'll find your filter minder. This is for the air filter of the vehicle. Let's go ahead and look down slightly to the right. A few more close-ups. This is the key area, a keyed ignition. And then as we move overhead, you'll find push on and off lights, in addition with a red light in the center indicating if flashing, do not move your apparatus. You have a door or compartment open. Center console, we'll start with the high idle, which is the red switch. We have an OK to engage the high idle green indicator, a load manager, and also a low voltage indicator. Red indicating that you're running on low voltage. Let's move from this location just down to the emergency warning light switches. They're going to be all the switches just below the first set of bank. And we have emergency lights, front roof, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, upper rear warning, and then also we have siren and horn. To the right, we'll find our rear scene lights, and then also an open compartment door, and also our water tank level indicator. Further to the right, we're going to find our PTO, which we have a disengage or engage, and 3 green indicators for pump operations. As we move down, we'll find our siren control and PA speaker system. As we move to the right, you'll find your seatbelt information. There are 4 seats. Red indicating someone's in the seat and not belted. Green, they're in the seat and belted. To the right, a digital readout for your pump pressure. There are 3 things here indicated. First, we have an air horn push button. As we move further down on that, you'll find 12-volt access via barrel style, cigarette lighter, and also USB, which is USB style. Let's move now to the officer side of the vehicle. We'll start at the very rear door. Same thing, affixed to the door panel, we have all of our safety and warning information. As we move inside the cab, once again, all seats are air ride. Adjustments on the right, front, and underneath section. Let's go ahead and move from the rear to the front section of the cab door. Same thing, safety items and warning attached to the door panel. As we move inside the door panel, you'll find, once again, all of our seat and comfort controls and air conditioning vents in the front. As we move under the seat, you can see you have seat controls for lumbar support and also front and rear moving of the seat back and forward. As we move to the panel now, we have access points here to gain access to go aloft with grab handles and fold down steps. Let's first start now in the left-hand side with the crosslays for crosslays 1 and 2. These are both foam capable. As we move to the right of that location and slightly down, we're going to find our water tank level indicator. recirculating line, which is a twist, not a pull, and the real blowout. That is also a twist, not a pull. As we move to the left, you'll find the crosslay for crosslays 1 and 2. Once again, foam capable. You can see also the red labeling indicating that they are foam capable. As we move to the right, you'll find the real discharge, also foam capable. And then just to the right, you'll find these 2 vacuum and pressure test gauge ports. They're currently plugged and are for testing purposes. As we move further to the right, you'll find your main pump intake gauge and also the main pump discharge gauge. Further to the right, we have some panel switches. First, let's start with the panel light and also OK to pump indicator. That's indicating that your pump is properly engaged, and also a spare. Moving just down and to the left, we'll find our front bumper turret. You can see in is open, out is closed, and then the number 1 driver's side discharge, red in color, 2.5 inch. Moving further to the right, you'll find your primer. We do have a caution information here that you should not run this for more than 1 minute. As we look down, these are the 2.5 inch discharges on the driver's side of the vehicle. Also, number 3 discharge, blue in color. Let's go ahead and move further to the right where we'll find our Pierce pressure throttle governor. Starting in the upper left, if illuminated, it would be yellow in color. It is a check engine light. Located directly in the center is the RPM, which is a digital readout. Further to the right is a stop engine light. It would be red in color if illuminating. Moving downward, we have a menu button, which allows you to scroll through the various menu functions. That's the orange button. Diagnostic engine information will display in the very center. Moving all the way to the right, we have a red silence button. This allows you to silence any audible alarms that may be sounding associated with the throttle pressure governor. To the left, the blue buttons, pressure and RPM mode. Those are the 2 options you have. Digital readout for your menu readout. And then to the right, we have a throttle ready indicator, and then also a green preset, which will allow you to preset any pressure or RPM positions. Down at the very bottom is our throttle. Right to increase, left to decrease. To move to idle, simply push the red idle button. Let's move just to the right where we'll find our Husky foam system. There are instructions on the placard itself on the module. The green is the on and off. We have a digital readout for the percentage of foam. The 2 gray buttons are going to be either increase or decrease the percentage of foam. And then to the right, yellow, this is going to be our prime button. There are instructions, once again, 1 through 4. Number 4 is going to give us information on our system status lights. Down in the lower section, we have our foam level indicator. Foam tank level A. As you can see down in the lower left, we do have the audible alarm speaker. The outer edge of that bezel does allow you to dampen or brighten the sound. To the right, tank to fill and recirculating line, and also tank to pump. Let's take a look further to the left now, and we'll move down on the pump panel. We have some warning information, pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. And also a warning that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and only after they've received proper training. To the right, large diameter pump intake. And then further to the right, this is going to be our foam draft lever. I've got a little bit better picture of that here in the next image. Draft operations, foam, and also an inlet down at the very bottom section. Just underneath that, we'll find our pump drain, and then also warning information regarding do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam. All the way to the lower left of the pump panel, we're going to find our Watrous placard indicating the type of pump that we have and that it's a 500 GPM pump. We also have a exterior ball valve, female inlet for an auxiliary inlet. Moving to the right, these are the placards for your Husky Foam System 3 and also operating instructions. Down at the very bottom, we're going to find all of our system drains. Here's those Husky 3 foam specifications and also foam system instructions. Let's move slightly to the right of the auxiliary inlet where we'll find additional drains for crosslays 1 and 3. And then we also find a pan door. Lift and turn latch will gain you access into this pan door. But I'd like to point out on the far right, we have a warning here. Once again, do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. This is your minimum operation maintenance schedule for the test pressures of 150, 200, and 250 PSI. As we look inside the pan door, we have a foam drain, which is a quarter turn, and then also a yellow handle, which coincides with the instructions on the back side of the door for foam fill operations and regular foam operations. Underneath the running board, you'll find your foam system drains. There are 2 of them, and also a perimeter light and step. Let's move from this location now to the body of the vehicle, starting first with the marker light directly in front of the rear axle. As we move up from that location, directly over the axle is where you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Moving further up onto the very top of the side sheet, we're going to find a storage location for our suction hoses, and at the very back section, an emergency warning light. Let's take a look down in the area near the axle. We'll find SCBA bottle storage location in front of and also in rear of the axle. Directly over the axle, you can see we have an additional shelf, adjustable and LED lighting, and a pull strap. As we move to the rear of the axle, we'll find additional SCBA storage location for 3 bottles. They do have retaining straps. And then let's look downward just at the axle. We do have also Goodyear 282 MSD tires. To the rear, mud flaps, and as we move to the very rear compartment, adjustable shelving, ventilation, and also an adjustable pull-out tray that releases on the lower right. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus, first starting at the very bottom section with a pull-out drop-down step. You also have some backup lights located in this area, and then underneath, kind of difficult to see in this image, we have some a tow hitch and also attachment points electrical. On the left-hand side, we'll find our emergency light, brake light, turn, and backup light. At the very top section, we'll find a rear-facing emergency warning light. And then as we move underneath, once again, this is that pull-out drop-down shelf. You can see also the light to the right side of this, and then also a plug-in for trailer accessories. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at that. You can see there are 2 of them, 12-volt access, and then also your Class 4 hitch. Let's take a closer look at some of the items. We'll first start on the left-hand side, rear, with our tail lights. Once again, emergency, brake, turn, and reverse lights. As we move up from this location, we'll find our fold-down steps, and then also grab handles. Move to the very top, emergency warning lights, and then also our netting for the hose load at the very top. As we move to the center roll-up compartment door, you'll find your hose reel just inside of that in the lower section, and also a push for your reel rewind. Moving down to the lower right-hand side, you can see we have an access way up the fold-down steps to go aloft, and then also at the very top section, we'll find grab handle and emergency warning light. We're on top of the vehicle now. This is the cab area, non-walking surface. Let's spin around and take a look at the body section where you'll find your top fill location for your foam tank A. There is a warning label regarding do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Also, top fill water tank location. In the dunnage area, you're going to find our Husky foam system reservoir. The fill location is the black cap in the lower section. As we move through, we do have compartmentation up on the very top section of the vehicle. D handle gains you access into these spaces. There are 2 on each side. As we move to the rear, you'll find long tool-handled storage and also ladder storage. Let's go ahead and take a look now at the passenger side of the vehicle from a rear perspective. Let's start down low at the axle area. We'll first start with the rear axle on the right side, Pierce logoed mud flaps, Goodyear MSD tires. As we move up to the top with our compartments open, we can see in the rear adjustable shelving. Let's go ahead and start with the center area where we find SCBA bottle storage, retaining straps on all 3 of those bottles. As we move to the forward section, you can see an additional SCBA storage location. As we move overhead, you'll find LED lights in the compartment, ventilation, and also a pull strap. As we move to the midsection area, I would like to point out this is directly in front of the rear axle. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. Be cautious where you park your vehicle, especially during regen. Just underneath that area, you'll also find perimeter lighting. As we move upward onto the panel, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. You'll also find 2 pan doors located on this side. We'll take a look at the contents behind those, but let's first start with our minimum operation maintenance schedule.
This coincides with the plaque on the opposite side of the vehicle. We also have access here via the panel to get to our intake relief valve, and then full access to the pump area. When we look inside the pump area, there is a light inside the pump panel area with a light switch to activate on or off. Let's move just up from this location to our crosslays for crosslay 1 and crosslay 2, grab handle and netting for those crosslays. Congratulations, Missoula, Montana, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34588. If you have any questions regarding this video or your truck, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.